All right, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to find anyone's email address. And so we're going to be using a tool called Clay.com. If you are in Cold, if you are in the album prospecting space, you need to know what Clay is, and you actually use Clay because it's extremely useful. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a very simple trick that solves a very little but stupid problem that 99% people make when it comes to enriching a list with emails and specifically also generic emails. And so I'm gonna be sharing with you how to fix that and how to make sure that all of your emails are totally and completely relevant, right? So stick around until the end of this video because I'm going to be sharing with you that very simple trick. That being said, this is what you see here is a template I use all the time to find as many valid emails as possible from a list of contacts. Now, the reason why all of these columns are named this way is because the list that I import from here comes from a tool called Lead Magic, right? You might be familiar with the tool Apollo, and so we're going to be using Apollo to find the contacts and then use Lead Magic to scrape that list of contacts, essentially get a list of actual people, contacts at the companies that we want to reach out to, right? So, and then after that, we're going to be importing that list from Lead Magic into this tool, clay.com, right? Now, that being said, the first column is first name Apollo, and there's a reason why I named it with Apollo in brackets. I'm going to be sharing with you in just a second, but let's move on. So this is essentially workflow enrichment. So what we do first is we validate the email that we were able to scrape with Lead Magic, right? Now, Lead Magic will scrape Apollo's emails, so it's not actual Lead Magic that finds the work email, and therefore that's why we use it afterwards as well, right here. But first of all, we're going to be validating the email that comes from Apollo. This is normal SMTP validation, and then we're going to do casual validation as well here. Essentially, two types of validation for an email address. After that, we use ICPs, and so the reason why we use them separately, or actually we use this is find work email ICPs, so it finds more work email addresses. The reason why we use this and also Lead Magic, which is right here, for the same function, finding work emails, separately is because we have API keys, and therefore we just run all of them through these two tools. And we want to validate casual emails as well. Now, if you do the workflow in Clay, I haven't found an effective way to pull the casual emails from the actual workflow and then validate them with a casual verification tool every time that you run one of these columns. I haven't found an automatic way to do that, so that's why we just have these two API keys. We just have these subscriptions at Lead Magic and ICPs, which I think are two great tools, and we're just going to be using them separately, right? And then again, validation of the emails that ICPs found, as you can see right here. Casual validation as well. This is again done through HTTP API. We use BounceBen, which is this tool right here, for casual validation. You can also use something like Scrubby.io. They'll both work. And then after that, we're going to be running the actual workflow enrichment in Clay, which is the function that Clay gives you, right? This essentially is the workflow, and it contains all many different types of tools or email providers that you might want to use to find work emails, right? So as you can see, we've got I think this is the type. Actually, this is Enro, and then we've got I just don't know the name of all of these. This is a find email. This is Prospeo, drop contact, and so on and so forth, right? So we use all of them, and then we use validation again done through Lead Magic, and one more time casual validation done through BounceBen, right? After that, this is the interesting part. If you are reaching out to local businesses, you will. I mean, this is something I recommend. I would recommend you to reach out to generic emails as well, right? Because if you're reaching out to local businesses, they might not all be on Apollo, or it might not be that easy to get their email from LinkedIn because they might not even be on LinkedIn, right? So this is what I use, right? If I couldn't find a valid work email for this specific contact, I try to find a generic email using Clayagent, right? This is essentially an AI agent that is given by Clay. It is by Clay, and you can essentially use this agent to go to a website or scrape the internet or browse the web and find some specific data. In this case, we are asking the clay agent to or training the AI agent to find a work email for this contact specifically. And if it wasn't able to find a work email for that contact, just a generic email of that business, right? Since some of these local businesses might not have a person's email, but they might just have, for example, an info at domain.com, right? After that, we validate those emails with LeadMagic, and then again, same thing, HTTP API for the bounce band or casual validation. And then after that, this is essentially a merge column. And here in this merge column, we essentially get all of the valid emails that we could find from all of the workflow, all of the tools that we found, that we used to find emails, right? So this is essentially a master email column, which is why I named it email in all caps, because it is just the master email column with all the possible emails that we could find, right? Valid work emails, of course. And then after that, you will see here first name capitalized. The reason why I used a formula for the first name is because in some of these leads where we couldn't find a valid work email for that specific contact, as I just mentioned, we are using Clayagent to find a generic email. Now, in that case, if you are finding a generic email for this business specifically, for example, and you have first name might be Kevin in the list, you might have Kevin that you are reaching out to. The problem with that is Kevin might not be managing this mailbox, right? And it might, the email that you could send to this prospect saying, hey Kevin, well, it's actually not Kevin managing that mailbox, might be completely irrelevant. It might actually piss people off, right? Because you're not getting the first names correctly, right? So what we do with this formula is essentially, just having like an empty cell in the first name column instead of having actually the first name of that person. If the email was a generic email. If this email is the generic one that we found from Clayagent, then we're just not going to use the first name, and we're just going to do an empty cell. Or if your sequencer doesn't allow you to upload a list with empty first names, you can just do a comma right here, right? You can just go here, and then as you can see, for like if the valid generic email is not empty, we're going to be giving an output a comma instead of an empty cell. And in that case, it should update real quick. There we go. We have commas for all the generic emails so that when we reach out to info@domain.com, we're going to be saying only hello, comma, right? Or the greetings, comma, and then the rest of the email instead of saying, hi Kevin. Well, it's actually not Kevin running that mailbox. Last thing that we do is the company name or normalization, right? Now, of course, when you scrape a list from a database, like for example, Apollo or list building tool like Apollo, it will give you, or any list building tool realistically, it will give you the legal company with LLC or limited or something like that. And so you want to clean that, and you want to have the clean normalized company name only to mention in the actual email. Now, the first name thing is the thing that everybody gets wrong. I've never seen anyone do this, and it's actually very simple. It's actually very stupid and very simple because but the problem with it is that people just reach out to this info at domain emails, and then they just end up getting marked as spam because that person is not managing that email address, right? So I just want to share this with you. It's a very simple workflow. If you're interested in getting this workflow and using this template for your workflow enrichments, just send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to share this template with you. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, just let me know, as always.